All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the ForeBros podcast. Part of my intro that I want to do today is I want to first, just off the rip, just want to say, hey, if you're not subscribed, please like and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or the YouTube channel. You can check us out on either platform. We're there under the ForeBros podcast name. Again, YouTube or Spotify. Check us out there. Like and subscribe. We're on a Facebook page as well, and we try to post some content
We're
there
on
as
Facebook.
well. Sometimes we're on Facebook. But anyways, like and share all the stuff and send it to all your friends, family, even people you don't like. Send it to all of them and let them hear the ForeBros podcast. So we've got a great episode lined up for you as always, and we want to jump right into it. And we want to get all the guys' initial reactions. Gentlemen, Scottie Scheffler is the man. This man cannot be stopped. He wins the 2024 Travelers Championship and wins due to a playoff against Tom Kim. And Scottie just has ice in his veins, man. He's one of those guys that is lingering Thursday and Friday. He's right there in the top 10. And then the weekend hits, man, and it's all over. So, Andy, what's your initial reactions to Scottie winning his 6th tournament of the year?
I was going to say, how many is that? Like 5 or 6 in a row?
Number six.
I actually didn't get to watch much of this round this weekend, but it's unbelievable what this guy is doing.
Yeah.
Are we putting the label on him yet? Are we close to giving him that label? Is he?
I've had some people ask me if he's GOAT worthy yet, but here's my thing on that is like Tiger, what he did in the early 2000s, no one will ever pull off that kind of a run. But no one's also in this era putting up the numbers like Scottie is. So it's going to take Scottie a while to reach the Tiger status, but
He's making a name for himself, though.
He's got to win some more majors. But Matty, what you think about old Scottie getting it done, dude?
Well, we had a little bit of a crazy afternoon, I guess. Aaron, we had a funeral that we had to go to for Aaron's uncle, and so I came in and caught the last 2 holes and then the playoff hole, which was a crazy finish. You know, if you guys watched it, they were standing there on 18 green, and they had some protesters come out, police come out tackling guys, arresting guys. It was just a weird scenario. Then of course Scottie has a putt for the win and just barely misses the thing. He could have punched it right there. They go into a playoff, and their playoff hole, Tom Kim comes out, hits his driver down the middle. Scottie hits a 3-wood down. Scottie's got about 150 into the flag with a pitching wedge. After changing hole locations, we were texting that. I was sitting there watching him, and I was like, this guy's pacing off a new hole. I think they're going to change holes. And of course, I'm telling this to my wife, who has no clue what we're talking about. She has no idea. And as I was texting you guys, I was like, he's pacing this off. So they change hole location. And the funny thing to me, to show you the difference between kind of Scottie and where Scottie's at versus where Tom Kim is. Now, of course, you got a little bit of an age gap. I think 28 and 22 or something to that effect. They give the guys the opportunity to come out on the green and look at the new hole location. Scottie just walks right on past it. Whatever. Tom Kim is kind of like looking at Scottie and looking at the hole like, dog, he didn't look at it. Should I? Do I? And he just kind of walks away too. He didn't know what. Scottie didn't care. Scottie, they gave him the numbers on where it was. And of course, he comes in, he sticks his pretty close. Tom Kim kind of just blocks his outright, sent green side bunker. And that's pretty much all she wrote, dude. Scottie's a robot when it comes to golf. He's won 6 out of 10 already this season. So I mean,
his last 10 was the Palmer he won, the Players he won. In Texas, he tied for second. The Masters he won, Heritage he won, the PGA he went to jail. The Schwab he tied for second. Memorial he won. The U.S. Open he shouldn't have shaved, so you know that cost him. And then he just won the Travelers.
Yeah. He's
so. Let me ask you this. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, looking at his scorecard for today, I mean, it was really just he had 2 birdies on the front, I think 3 on the back. If that's right. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, so
they did. I didn't get to see it, so they did the playoff hole on 18, correct?
Yes. They
Why did they not?
They recut it.
So why did they not do it?
What do you mean? Why did they not do what?
Why did they not go back? Like if they tied, did they do the first playoff hole?
No,
it
it's only one.
Only one hole.
Playoff.
It was only one hole.
They just recut the hole, played it one time, and that was it.
That's it.
Because I didn't get to see any of the end of it.
Yeah. So what they did was they recut the hole because whatever these guys brought out onto the course, I don't know if it was powder, if it was paint, something like that.
Yeah.
They were able to get most of it off, but they couldn't get all of it off. So they just decided, bump this. Let's just go ahead and cut a new hole. They moved it 5 paces from the right, 11 paces on from the front, and then they played the hole. Scottie was on it too. They kind of
tucked it behind that bunker.
They did. They nestled it right beside it, like right kind of front right corner. Scottie hit it in on 2. Tom Kim was in the greenside bunker on his second shot. He came out. He was plugged too. That was the hard part. Plugged.
It was like
hit it about 20 feet past the hole. And I mean, at that point, when he went in the bunker, he would have had to pull off one of those Jordan Spieth. 2017?
Oh yeah. Well, he told his caddy. They caught him on a hot mic. Tom Kim told his caddy. He said, "I have no way of stopping this. The only way this ball is going to stop is if I hit the flag or if I bury it in the cup."
Yeah.
And so and once it hit the green, it just rolled because that ball was. They don't really only had like half the ball showing. It was so buried in there.
Yeah.
And then he gave the par putt a run.
Yeah,
but essentially after that, Scottie's 10 feet away, 2 putts to win. He, simple.
Nestle it up close, tap Scottie. It in. Yeah, wins it.
So Bryan, is Scottie a one of one? Like, what are we witnessing history right now?
I think so. I think it can be. I saw some graphics earlier today that they kept throwing up. I believe Vijay Singh and Tiger Woods both won 9 events in one singular year. I was just looking at the schedule and hearing you guys say 6 of 10. This dude's got 11 more opportunities. And I don't know that he'll play all 11 events, but like we're at the halfway point.
Yeah,
like, I mean, if he keeps winning at this percentage, I think when you start talking about Tiger and Jack, I mean, obviously he's going to have to put together a few years like this. I'll tell you one thing that I did notice on the graphics that I saw earlier. Tiger Woods, he had a year where he won 9. He had a year where he won 8. He had a year where he won 7. And he had a year where he won 6. So when you look back, I mean, he has a ton of wins, but they kind of come in bunches. So this is really, I mean, Scottie's won before, but this is kind of his first bunch of wins. If you see him over the next 8-10 years throw together some 7-8 win seasons like this, I think absolutely he's going to be in the discussion. And my thing is, man, this is what gets me about Scottie. I think we all can agree that golf has come a long way. These guys nowadays, I'm not saying that like the top person is better than Tiger or better than Jack or anything like that. But I think we can agree that there are a lot, like the field is stronger. So it's harder to win. It's not, I mean, there honestly were times, watching Tiger Woods in the early to mid 2000s where you're watching him play. It's like nobody has a chance. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But Scottie's been in some, he's run away with some, but he's been in some dogfights too. But man, it's unbelievable what he's doing, and what's going to stop him? I mean, you look at all the challenges, and I'm not, having a kid is not a challenge, but it affects you, right? Sure. And that lingered over a few tournaments, like not knowing when his wife is going to go into labor. Then he has to deal at the PGA with law enforcement, and then even today, protesters storming the green and just being able to lock in and win it there in a playoff. I mean, he's a different breed, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling
you. That's how you're comfortable in your swinging right there. You just no matter what's happening.
If the Netflix series Full Swing is not following this man this year, they are missing a great opportunity to make a killing.
Definitely.
When that series comes out. But I'll even say too, I think the way that golf has changed, in the realm of fans watching, is I think a lot of people are now more focused on how many majors you've won, especially with the split between PGA Tour and LIV. And so I hate to say it, but I think Scottie is always going to be valued upon how many majors he has. And right now it's only 2, but and people see like, man, he's already won $24 million just this year. And so really, all these other tournaments that he's racking up and winning, I mean, they're just money grabs at this point for him. But I think a lot of people are going to determine his GOAT status or compare him to Tiger going to be based on those majors. And so I think a lot of people are going to want to see Scottie win some more majors. And so you got one more this year. Do I think he'll get the career Grand Slam? Absolutely, at some point, because you got to think him and I are the same age. We're both 28, and that's insane for me to even think about it. Like, he's not really. I don't even think he's even entered really into his prime yet. Like, I think he's right there, but he still has plenty of healthy years ahead of him, especially in the golf world, and the way he takes care of his body and how he prepares and gets ready for each tournament. So, man, I'm telling you, like, I think we are witnessing something great. Moving forward, though, something that may not be great to witness is our own golf game. So, sticking with golf, we got kind of our plans this week and what we're doing. We've let Matty J pick the destination, and we are going back to the Crooked Oak this week.
Yeah.
And Matty hasn't been there in a while. Bryan has seen every inch of that course.
I know it well.
He knows it well, and so it's gonna be an opportunity for Matt to kind of shake off the rust of not playing in a while, and also not having played that course in a while. And then Bryan too, is be an opportunity for you, man, to finally conquer the demon that is Crooked Oak. I think you can do it. It's there. So, so that's where we're going. That's what we're doing, and so kind of what we're going to talk about for the next couple of minutes, just kind of what we're working on personally, and just kind of what we want to expect, and just see what happens. So for me, I'm going to be the same kind of approach. Just try to work on my iron game. My second shots have always been the make or break for me. So we'll just try to dial that in, and especially my wedges. I would say 130 yards and in have been the struggle. So I'm gonna try to fix that. I'm gonna try to work on that, and try to see what we can do there, but just try to shoot a low score. I'm not gonna try to let myself get in the mindset of I'm trying to break 80. Now that I've gotten that monkey off my back, now it's just going to let it happen organically. If it happens, it happens, and just try to play good golf and try to hit some quality shots. But Matty, since you haven't played in a while, dude, what's your expectations? What are something you want to try to work on?
Not losing a lot of golf balls.
Okay.
No, I haven't swung a club since the last time I played around with you guys and all that. I don't know. It was a very frustrating day anyway. There's just a lot going on at the time, but I have been kind of just thinking through everything and kind of going through the swing and trying to figure out, trying to find some little small positive in the middle of all of it, which is sometimes hard to do. I think for me, a lot of the things that I want to work on this week is simply not getting so hard driven with my arms. I have a tendency of getting to the top and then just pretty much making it all arms and kind of trying to then sink my body up to it. And it's just not working. I think sometimes when I'm striking the ball well, it is kind of more of that pulling down the chain, but it's doing so by pretty much starting with my front lead shoulder and really kind of let that start my motion. It's kind of weird to a lot of people. A lot of people don't think that that's the way you probably should do it, but that's typically when I start striking it well. I've noticed the past few times I have played, that's not what I'm doing. I get to the top and I'm just firing my hands off trying to make something happen, and it ain't working. And so we're going to go there. I typically tend to struggle on the front nine when we get over there, and I kind of settle down on the back a lot of times. Those first couple of holes generally eat my lunch, and so we're going to try to at least conquer the first five. If we can get past the first five, I think we're going to be okay for the rest of the round.
Yeah. Bryan, what you think, man? What are we going to try to do?
Yeah. I really, I know we're joking about going back over there, but I really do, man. That's just how I'm wired. Like, you can beat me up and beat me down, but I'm going to keep coming back until we figure it out. But, spent a lot of time this week hanging out in the wings of the CHS auditorium while my kids were dancing literally all week. I worked on my air swing like nobody's business. I told Andy today, in all seriousness, and I'm super, super excited to get out there and swing a little bit, because as silly as it sounds, and just back there goofing around, I picked up on something that I'm doing with my lead arm that I know is contributing to that massive rollover that I have that is causing me to just snap hook it. So I haven't been out to the range. I have not swung a golf club. So this is all just thoughts in my head at this point. But I did go and look, and me and Andy exchanged a couple of swing videos supporting kind of what I was feeling in that, just air swing mentality. But I think it definitely is something that, well, one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to straighten me out, or either I'm going to start hitting the ball dead right, which honestly, I would be ecstatic about at this point. As long as it is not a dead pull with a massive draw out of bounds, I don't care. So anyway, score wise, I really don't. Honestly, I don't have any expectations. I'm trying to straighten things out, and that's really all I'm focused on.
What do you think?
There you go.
Sure.
Good thing.
What's
Good thing to be.
What's your lead arm? What's your lead arm? You think you're doing?
So I can't show you on here, but like if I just have, if I just lay your arm, like your left arm down, just like palm up, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And then I'm rotating my wrist back to get it like where that angle between your pointer finger and your thumb is pointing to the other shoulder.
Yep.
So, but in doing that, you can feel how much roll you have in your wrist. So what I'm doing is taking my arm, rolling it in, almost like flexing your tricep, but then rolling my hand back to the correct position. And then when you try to roll it over to the left, there's nowhere to go.
Limits it.
So what I've been doing is that elbow's been really exposed, and I've been twisting my wrist back over, and I'm essentially setting up just this huge turn that has to happen. Yeah. So, and dude, like I'm saying, it was insane. I'm literally standing like on top side stage. The girls are down there dancing, and I'm up there just like grinding away in the dark with my air swing. And I was like, how do I stop my wrist from rolling over? So I'm like twisting. I know I look like a total idiot. Nobody could see me, but I felt like an idiot. But I'm twisting my arms, and I'm like, okay, well, that and that. Well, now I can't twist it, so that feels good. So then I went and I'd seen some video, but dude, I'm telling you, like that's what's so crazy about golf is like you can get a good tip or you can get a good swing thought, and for whatever reason, it will work its way out of your life within a couple of rounds, and you're like, what was I doing? But anyway, that's kind of the one. It's not even a swing thought, because I told Andy, I have not felt like my swing has been bad. But something in my hands that is going on is just crazy. So I'm hoping this calms it down and gives me something to work on at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, what's your thoughts, man? What are your expectations for Wednesday?
I want to comment on Bryan's little deal for a second. Like, my man was excited about it this morning. I'm excited for him. I really am. Like, we fixing to go get it. I mean, I hope it helps him, get back into the Bryan we all know, and
the Bryan we miss.
I promise you, I'm trying.
As far as my expectations for this week, I only got one. I'm coming for you, big dog. Coming for you, B.
Okay.
Oh, I thought he was talking to me. I didn't know. I was like, what did I do?
You ain't been here in a while. I ain't worried about you.
He said big dog to the littlest man in the room.
He sure did.
I'm like, what are we doing?
The man's sitting on a booster seat, and you going to call him big dog. I tell you what, man.
Well, he won. He ran away with it the other day, but I was wondering if he was going to tell us how he did when he went back Friday, but he didn't say, or Saturday. He didn't say.
No, I did. I shot 87. So it was a 10 shot swing from the 77. And
it just ain't the same without the boys, is it?
It's not the same without the boys. I was with my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law had never broken 100 before, and so we were trying to get him in a right spot. Also, he had never played by what he called the ForeBros rules, and
here we go.
Yeah, and so
he had never kept a score appropriately.
No, he never kept his legit
Okay.
score, and then after going OB hitting 4 on the first 2 holes, he put his driver up. He goes, "Yep, we're done with this." And so but that's the kind of discipline I think it takes in order to shoot a good score. He ended up shooting 100 on the nose, which was just enough to give him the itch to do it again. But
Mm-hmm.
that also, again, that was the first time he's ever kept his legit score, and he was, like, methodically thinking about his next shot and what he was doing and things like that. And so there was a lot of that. But then for me, kind of like Matt, those first 5 holes at Crooked Oak, if you can get past those first 5 holes, you can kind of really start setting your own pace. Those first 5 holes are drastically different in how they are. The first one's dead straight, second one's a dogleg left, third one's a medium par 3. And then, number 4 is very short par 4 that you feel like you can attack. And then the 5th one is an open par 5. And so there's so many things happening, I feel like, in those first 5 holes. And then if you can come out of there with a decent score, then by the time you get to the 6th hole, you're like, okay, calm down. Now let's go attack. And
6 is not an easy hole.
And 6 is not an easy hole either. Yes, you got to take less than driver off the tee.
You got to get off the tee. That's the big thing.
You just got to get off the tee. I mean, unless you can fly the water, but yeah. So there was a lot of that, and for me, it's not an excuse, but it is an excuse. The first 5 holes, I was thinking about Wednesday, and I was like, I can do this again. I can do this again, and every little inconvenience, I was blaming on. Man, I wasn't doing this 2 days ago, so then I just had to stop, and so making some mental mistakes and 10 shots, doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, it is a lot and it can add up pretty quickly. So I played pretty terrible on the back nine. The back nine is where I kind of just, fell apart. So, it's funny now though, that I get frustrated with a mid 80 score. Like that's, but that's just been over time, playing good scores and having good scores. So I'm excited to go back. I'm excited. It's my favorite course by far out of all the public courses that we play. And it was in great condition yet again, and it's going to continue to be. So, yeah. So Andy, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to the battle that it will be. So before oh, go ahead.
But at some point, before we move on to the next, at some point, we got to put this belt back on the line. We got to come up with something before summer's over.
I would love to do it now because I'm
gonna give Bryan his time. I'm gonna give Bryan one, 2. I'll give you till July. And you,
okay.
Andy,
next week.
You know just as well as I do. It don't matter
if the belt's on the
how
line,
bad I'm playing. You put it on the line. When the lights are shining the brightest, I'm gonna show up, bro. You ain't got to worry about me. Hey,
ain't nobody shining no lights on you right now.
At some point, we have got to bring our listeners back into the conversation of we have not addressed O-Land year 2. We have not addressed Tartan Pines. And I'm telling you, when we start gearing up for RTJ, me and Brandon versus y'all two, we're gonna have to take a whole episode and bring the whole thing back into focus.
Matt, don't worry about it. He's falling off the rails. He's falling off the rails, man. He ain't. Don't worry about it. We ready.
I'm rebuilding the whole track, AJ. I'm rebuilding the whole track.
My man's gonna be bothered after we get done playing.
For all the ones that are listening and watching, if you kept up with our YouTube videos, we had a segment where it was me and Matt versus Bryan and Andy, and we went down to Orlando, and that was like our first YouTube videos we ever posted was our match down there. Ended in a tie of all things, and so we knew that we, as competitive as we are not ending that in a tie. So we went back earlier this year when we went down to the Arnold Palmer, did the rematch. Probably one of the greatest matches we have ever played in a 2v2. I mean, it literally, and this is one of those, I wish we were recording it, but I'm glad we didn't because it gave us an opportunity to actually focus on our game. And when I tell y'all, it literally came down to the last shot. It came down to the last and final shot on 18. It was insane. So we'll talk about that. But then also, too, the next 2v2 that we had was me and Andy versus Matt and Bryan, and we took that to Tartan Pines. The first year we filmed it, we won, and so then we went back again to settle the score, and so we could talk about that as well. And then what we realized was that we didn't have a 2v2 where it was me and Bryan versus Andy and Matt. And so this year we're going to introduce that for the first time, and we challenged Matt and Andy, and we actually want to challenge them in a sense of going back to Matt's old stomping grounds down to the Robert Trent Jones courses. So, I mean, we essentially called him out and said, we can beat you at your own place. And so that's what we think we can do. So we have not played that round yet, but it is coming up.
What you mean by we? Is it you and who?
Me and Brian.
You got a rat in your pocket?
Me and Brian. Me and Brian, boy.
Brian who? Is there another guy you heard of?
There's a famous line. There he is. There's a famous line. When them lights turn on, boy, you better shine them on them. Shine them on them. All I'm saying is it doesn't matter if it's Cairo. It doesn't matter if it's Crooked Oak. It doesn't matter if it's RTJ. If you leave Brian with a putt on 18, y'all better watch out because it's coming.
You don't want to see this face on 18, boy.
You don't want to see that grin. Hey, because you know what we're going to be doing on that back nine? We just hanging around.
Just hanging around.
Just hanging around. We're going to be there. We're going to be there. So, yeah, Brian, that's a great idea. We'll definitely, whenever we finish RTJ, we will have an episode and we will go through. That's all we'll do for that episode. We'll just go through every single one of those matches from this year, talk about it. And then at some point, we will put the belt on the line and do some like individual matchup here pretty soon. So we're giving Andy said we're giving Brian till July. That's literally next week. So Brian, just, you got till next week, brother, to figure it out. Real quick, before we move to the next segment, as we get ready to golf this week, let me get y'all's score predictions, starting with Brian. What do you think you're going to shoot?
Oh, man,
what would you like to shoot?
He just told you he wasn't focused on score. He's just working on himself.
I'm not focused on it, but as far as what I would be happy to see, like if this little thing I'm working on works, I fully expect and would love to be low 90s, high 80s. Like, I think it will make that big of a difference.
Wow. Cool. Okay. All right. Matty J, what you thinking? It's a loaded question.
Let's go 94.
94.
I'm gonna go 94. Only because I know I'm gonna blow that out of the water, but at least kind of, I'd love 94. To shoot lower than that, but we'll go 94.
Right, we're gonna clip that. He said he's gonna blow that out of the water. we'll resurface that one.
I'm talking about beyond that. I'm talking 94 is going to be a small number. No, bump that.
Yeah. Triple digits.
We're gonna ride by 95 and wave at it is what we're gonna do.
There you go.
No, you ain't calling me out, buddy. You going next. It's on you. Come on. What you gonna do, Mr. 77 to 87?
I don't know, man.
It's a 10-shot sway right there. Give us something.
Don't try to get in my head because
I'm not. I'm just talking. We're just talking, man. We're just talking.
I don't know. I think a score that I would be happy with would be like 83. Let's say 84 lower, 83 or lower, somewhere in there, somewhere in the low 80s. Again, not trying to shoot 70 in the 70s. I'll just let that happen organically. Because the moment I realized, like, I did it on Wednesday, that was just everything was clicking. And then Friday I tried to do it and was thinking about it too much. And then, ended up shooting 87. So I just need to go out there and hit good shots, but I'd be happy with, a low 80s round, what I've been playing here recently. So, all right, Andy, now it's you.
82.
82, baby. 82.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was coming after. No, I really think, like, the way I was driving the ball the other day, I was doing it really good and I was feeling it. I think I've found a swing I can stick with that. And just messing around in the yard the last couple of afternoons, I think I've planed out a nice little swing here, shot some balls off into that peanut field, and feels pretty good. I'm kind of anxious to get out there on the actual course and see what it feels like there. So,
all right. I'll just hit Andy with a little grin before we hit the first tee.
No.
Get them all rattled. Just get them all rattled.
I tell you, hey, you were talking about the first 5 holes on that course. You remember a couple of weeks ago when we went and had that juniors tournament? We had to tee off on the backside.
Yeah. That messed me up. I think that messed all of us up. I don't think we were ready for that because that kind of, for me to play that course and, to play it the right way, the front 9, then the back 9, I I like having kind of 9 holes to really, dial things in, because then when you come to that back 9, you start on a very straight, easy par 5. And so that's a good way. And then you go into a really short par 3. So you can get a pretty good score there coming out the gates on the back 9, but then trying to do that though first thing in the morning by starting on the back 9, yeah, that was a little bit of a struggle. So but yeah, so look forward to a good week. So catch the the next episode to see how it all went. But all right, now we're jumping to the next thing. This is a fan favorite, the segment of all segments. Bryan is bothered. After coming off the last episode of AJ is Heated, it got hot in here so fast. Smoke alarms were going off in here where I'm at. So it was pretty crazy. Bryan, your last Bryan is bothered segment had us a heated discussion as well about heat lightning. And so I've had some people, as I've passed them in town or seen them around town, they've asked me, hey, did you see the heat lightning the other day? And so they're trying to get me riled up about this whole ordeal. So I appreciate that. But Bryan is bothered. The segment is here. Brother, take it away. What are you bothered by now?
Yeah, so this one I feel like I'm going to get actually a lot of support on. I think a lot of people will see it the same way that I do. Probably need to lay some groundwork before I just give it to you, but you guys can react to it. But anyway, a couple of weeks ago, we're out of town, had to run in Target late, and not crazy late.
Starbucks, like you were trying to get some Starbucks in Target, or
no? We were just in Target.
Okay.
Had to get some stuff. We were at the beach picking up some stuff for the condo.
Oh.
So go to get in line, and I'm looking, and there's like this absurd line just up like in front of all of the registers. I'm like, what's going on? So we go up, and I realize that it's the self-checkout line. They have 4 self-checkouts. I look up, there are 20. They're numbered. There were 20 traditional checkouts at this Target. Anybody want to guess how many were open?
0.
1.
Oh man.
1 out of 20. While there's this massive line with 4 self-checkout stations. And I'm just fuming, obviously, because I'm bothered. But this is what I'm about. This is the conclusion that I come to. And I don't want to come off as some old school, not open to I understand it's 2024. I appreciate if I need to go in Walmart and grab a bottle of toothpaste, I appreciate being able to go and just boop, put my card in and walk out of there and not waiting in line. I am not against self-checkout. But here's my problem, and this is what I'm bothered by. If you, as a company, as a corporation, are going to shut down the use of your traditional checkouts, I want that real estate for my self-checkout. Because here's what you've done to me. You have forced me to self-checkout. And you have forced me to do it in an area that is a tenth the size of what you get to check it out in. You got a conveyor belt. You got a bag swivel. You got a landing area. You have an entire register. You know what I get? A little gun that doesn't work half the time. I get a little thing of bags over here, one size bag that every time you touch one, it rips off, and you got to learn on the fly how to re-rack these bags, which is a total nightmare. Not to mention, with a full bag of groceries, I get 3 bags full, and I'm staring down at a landing pad full of groceries, a grocery cart full of groceries, and I got nowhere to go. But you know but you know where I would have somewhere to go? At a traditional checkout. So why don't you just go ahead and tear all them down and just put self-checkouts throughout the whole thing and give me a little bit more space? That's all I'm asking for. I'm not saying get rid of self-checkout. I'm not saying it. If you want me to check out my groceries, I'll check them out. Give me the space to do
it. Honestly, though, I think that like you are speaking to the masses there. Like, I think a lot of people are going to see this and go, I finally waited for someone to say this for the longest time, because it is so true. It's so tight. What bothers me even more about the whole realm of self-checkout too is that this has happened to me, and not trying to call out any company, Walmart, but what happens here is I'll check out. And then so I have essentially done your work that you were supposed to do, right? Again, sometimes it is convenient, but here recently it hasn't been convenient. And so you go and you check out your stuff and you walk out. Then there is somebody standing at the exit door wanting your receipt. So not only do you make me do your work by checking it out and bagging it myself, now you want to check the work that I did that you were supposed to do because you're going to accuse me of stealing something? No. And it's I don't know the exact statistics, but you could look it up. But theft in Walmarts and other big corporations have skyrocketed since self-checkout has been put in. But and so again, it's like,
forgive me for getting an item mixed up in my 3x3 space. I apologize.
Yeah. So, I get it. I get it. Maddie, are you in support of the Bryan is bothered of the self checkout?
I got a question to ask. Because y'all know I listen to like the small things, like the rocking to sleep and things like that. Like,
oh my god,
like how you buy a bottle of toothpaste?
Man, a tube. I'm sorry, a tube. When I go and get my tube of toothpaste, I want to check it out and walk out.
Out of all things, that's what he gets.
I need to check this toothpaste out. I don't.
A bottle of toothpaste.
No, listen. It's a frustrating thing, and because I agree with all of it. I think if you are going to do self checkout, then let us do self checkout. I would love the conveyor belt. I think the conveyor belt will help.
Yeah. Is that what you're advocating for, Bryan? Is for the conveyor belt?
Okay. If I had went to Target that night and there were 10 registers open, we're not even having this segment. Okay. Yeah. But that's not the case. And it doesn't matter where we go, whether it's here in our hometown or out of town, like it's an issue at all these places. So what I'm advocating for is, if you are moving away from traditional checkout, I want that real estate. Because at the end of the day, if there's a bunch of registers open, but I still choose to go into the 3x3 self checkout, that's on me.
Yeah.
But you're not giving me a choice. I'm looking at 2,000 square feet of unused space, and you are forcing me into 9 square feet. Okay. I want some of the $2,000.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
My man got a big bottle of toothpaste.
I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better there, Bryan. In Wiggum, we got the new fancy Dollar General with the produce section now and the upgraded coolers and whatnot. And we also got 2 self-checkout lanes.
Do they work?
Guess what's always broken?
Self-checkout?
Self-checkout. So now I got to stand in line anyway. Like, I'm willing to do it also. But now you got to have them working so I can use them.
Why you just check it out cold, Andy?
Man, I'm just going to not I should have just – and see, I could get into some more about some Walmart pickup stuff, but we'll save that for another day.
So what do you say to the corporations who are telling you, well, the reason they're self-checkout is because we're having a hard time hiring?
Is that a bottle of toothpaste?
Yeah, dog. I got that great value toothpaste, boy.
Look got a 16-ounce bottle.
I got a whole bottle of toothpaste.
So what do you say to the corporations who they come to you and say, Bryan, we understand you're bothered. We understand your situation. However, we're having a hard time hiring employees, not only because no one wants to work in this country, but then also, too, they're not only, if they do want to work, they're asking for too much money. Because what you're seeing in larger corporations, these businesses, they're smart. That's why they're corporations for a reason. These people gripe and complain about wanting minimum wage raise. Well, then these big corporations goes, okay, fine, we'll just make things automated, which is a part of self-checkout, which is why you see, the kiosk at, like a McDonald's to order that way. When you walk in, it cuts out of someone having to be, taking your order, things like that. So what do you say to those people because that's usually the other side of the argument.
Yeah. No, I mean, I say hire construction workers to come in and tear down the traditional checkouts and build more self-checkouts with more space. Now, I will say this. Over in a neighboring town, there is a Walmart over there that has a bigger self-checkout area.
Yes, they do.
Much nicer.
Yeah,
I can live with that. I can function in that space, but don't force me into an entire bag of groceries, forcing me into literally, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, the landing space beside these self checkouts is like 3 by 3. I mean, it's not a lot of space. There's nowhere to go. So, give me more. And I guess just looking directly over this little partition and seeing just rows and rows of unused traditional checkouts, man, get them things out of there. Get them out of there. Let's get some more self checkout. Y'all want to play this game? Let's play the game. Get it in here, but make it functional for me. Like, give me a chance. I don't know. I'm bothered. I'm telling you, I'm bothered by it. It struck a chord. I'm telling you, I had a time down at the beach. I didn't get ice. I had to do this self checkout stuff. Trip was fantastic with my family, but I'm telling you, these folks are letting me down.
So anytime you walk into a big store and you see like traditional checkouts, there's 10 lanes and two are open, but you see the self checkout out the yin yang, you're just like, okay,
it's the toughest decision you'll make. It's the toughest decision you'll make is whether or not to go stand by the panties and the bras to wait on self checkout, or to get in line behind the 15 people with 2 buggies apiece in the 2 lanes that are open. Yeah. That's the toughest decision you'll make during the week. And I'm tired of making it. I don't want to be forced to make it. I'm spending $250, $300 every time I step foot in this place. Give me some space. I ought to own some real estate up here. At this point, I ought to have my own area to check stuff out.
Brian's checkout.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. But no, I mean, dude, and this is the way I see it. Self-checkout, it started years ago. You saw these lines popping up that were 20 items or less, right? It was so that if you had a bottle of toothpaste, you didn't have to stand behind somebody with an entire grocery cart to check out your bottle of toothpaste. And you could go in 20 items or less. Well, then it evolved into, okay, well, we need maybe a few more of these. Let's make an area. Well, now you've made an area, and now it's not limited. It's like, yeah, just wheel your cart on up in here and spend the next 45 minutes checking out your groceries, because here within just a few bags, you're not going to have anywhere to put anything. You're going to be turning around looking at everybody else like, what happens now? And here I am, 15 feet deep in panties and bras, not knowing what's happening.
What kills me too is like and this has happened in our town and then in some neighboring towns that there's self checkouts, and this is part of it. When I'm walking in, usually like I'll hit the self checkout if I got like just less than like 10 things, and I'll just run and go. And most of the time, I'm still old school. Like I'm still one of those guys that I believe cash is king. And so like I'll have some cash on me. But like 9 times out of 10, dude, I'll hit the self-checkout and they'll all say card only. I'm like, you got to be joking me, man. And then I got to sit in the line with the family of 18 that's got 4 buggies, and they're taking their sweet time, and they got kids running around. I'm sitting there with all the stuff in my hand, and I got $20 cash ready to spend it, but I can't go through the self-checkout. Like, why are they card only? Well, I mean, what is happening? Are we trying to move to a cashless society? You don't have to answer that. I already know we are, but it's aggravating. It is so aggravating. But
you want some extra aggravation? Go check out go in there to get a tube of. Okay, this is a can. Let me get my correct description.
Oh, like you're talking about like spray paint or something?
No, a can of WD-40, only to find out that you got to wait on one of these yahoos to come over here and punch in your birthday because you can't buy
it. Yeah. That's the other thing. Self-checkout. Now you're there even longer. Yeah. So if there's anybody,
you think I had a case of beer? I'm trying to get WD-40, bro.
So if anybody's in the corporate world, or anybody that, Walmart, Target, whatever, and you could help us figure out this self-checkout debate and maybe give us an argument from the other side, we'll be happy to hear it, because I think we're all equally bothered.
No, I won't be happy to hear it.
Well,
there's nothing they can say other than, yes, Brian, we're going to give you more space.
Well,
that's all they can say.
That's what they should do. They should come with a real estate contract, and go, here, Brian, we're going to give you some space at your local Walmart.
There we go.
That's what they ought to do. So, well, that was good. Bryan is bothered, guys, and he keeps up with these things and things that he's bothered by. You guys are either going to support him or you're going to request him to go to therapy. So, either way, moving on real quick. Going to talk about some college.
That golf swing might send him to therapy.
That could okay. All right, we're moving on. We're talking in the realm of college sports, and there's been a lot of things happening within college sports and a lot of different playoff expansion that is happening. We've been wanting to talk about this for a while. So, Bryan, why don't you? This is something you wanted to talk about. Why don't you give us kind of a breakdown of what you're talking about and what you're thinking about this playoff expansion, and then we'll kind of chime in and give our 2 cents for what it's worth.
Sure. So, I guess we probably follow college football more than anything. Obviously, we know that playoff has expanded. This year this will be the first year that it will expand to 12 teams. And I think overall, most everybody was pretty excited about that. Me personally, I thought it might have been 4 teams too far. I thought 8 was the number, and you get differing opinions on that. But I tell you what really caused me to bring this up and just kind of let the guys give their thoughts on it. I believe it was last week, ESPN put out an article that the NCAA basketball tournament was looking to, now, growing up, that was 64 team tournament. 10 years ago or so, it expanded to 68 where they had those 4 playing games. Now they're looking at expanding that tournament to either 72 or 76 teams. So I'm reading this article and I'm like, okay, who is debating that the 76th best team in the nation has an opportunity to go win a national championship? You know what I'm saying? And before anybody, Brandon, you would even bring this up, like Florida this year in baseball, how they snuck into the tournament and then made it as deep as they did. Florida was not the 64th or the 60th best team. No. They were in a power conference. Mm-hmm. They were still a top 25 team, regardless of the record. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about schools that we aren't even sure really exist making it into the NCAA basketball tournament. So it kind of caused me to pose this question. They're obviously doing it for money. The article was just riddled with the amount of money that this would generate. So I guess the question that I'm asking is, in light of football, college basketball, how do we feel about this? Have we not only playoff expansion, look at what's happening in conference expansion. Like, are we comfortable with where it's going? Where do we think it's going? How do we feel about it?
I mean, I think for me, when you start talking about football, I think even before playoff expansion, the moment they started introducing NIL, that ruined what we know as far as college football. So NIL, the transfer portal, and then even the 14 playoff of what it was. I think Nick Saban, he said it best when that first year they introduced it. He said, the moment you do this, you're going to devalue any major bowl game that we ever had. He goes, the Rose Bowl is no longer the Rose Bowl. He goes, that's just a step to whatever. Like, Rose Bowl used to be like, that Big Ten showdown. And it meant something, or Pac-12, or whatever it was. And so but now, like, it's devalued. So already with the playoff in college football, it's devalued some of those bowl games. And now expanding to 12, yes, it gets all the major conference winners in there. But like, I think with basketball expanding, I think it's just really what they're itching for, if it is more than just the money. Basketball is where you get all the Cinderella stories and things like that. And so, but I kind of agree with you, Bryan. I don't know what 76 team in the country has a shot of beating a Duke or a Villanova or a Kansas. It's. I don't think it's going to go the way it's going to go.
You play them in as a 16 seed, and then you get UConn in the first round.
Yeah. So I think the first couple of years you're going to get exposed. I think baseball has always done a good job of how they do Omaha. Same with softball and how they do the World Series in Oklahoma. Football and basketball has definitely been one of those 2 sports where they're really itching for wherever they can get the most money out of whatever. So it'll be interesting to see, being that we're more football guys, being interesting to see how the 12 12-team playoff thing works. I mean, because this will be the first year. It's going to be exciting to see. But, yeah, that basketball thing, that just seems – it only seems like the only reason they're doing it is for the money. And to be able to – did they say how it was going to generate more money or that it was just going to generate?
It was TV. It was TV revenue.
Wow.
It's another couple of nights of coverage, and ultimately, man, I really believe, as much as I hate to say it, I think it's what's going to happen in football. I mean, we're going to do 12 for 3 or 4 years, and then it's going to be 16, and it's gonna be painted in some other way, but it will be about money.
Do you think
because at the end of the day, and I'll use Georgia as an example. If Georgia goes 9-3 on the season, and maybe they dropped the game early in the year, went on a run or whatever, and were considered one of the top 16 teams at the end of the year, man. What people fail to realize is that when you're talking about Georgia, Florida, Auburn, FSU, these are the teams that we support. These teams, these universities move the needle. When they are on TV, people are watching. It doesn't matter if it's 1 versus 16 or if it's 2 versus 15. Nobody cares. These stadiums are going to be full. People are going to pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to sit in the seats, and they're going to watch it on TV. And they're going to root for their team as if they have a chance. I don't mind the playoff expanding. I think it needed to a little bit. I just think now we're on a path that it's going to get to 16 to 24 teams. I mean, I don't know where it ends, honestly, because there's so much money to be made.
Well, I was going to say too, do you think that, like, for years now the FCS has done their playoff that way, that bracket style, almost like basketball. Do you think FBS will ever get to that? Like, do you think those major conferences will ever get to like a big bracket like that?
I think the way you would see that is if conferences go away from football. I think you'll always have conferences, but I think you're already kind of seeing conferences die anyway. You're down to just a few that matter at this point, and I think it's only going to get worse. But in order to go to a playoff like that, conferences are going to have to be willing to let conference championships go, where essentially, like in week 13, it's not an SEC championship. You may be having second place SEC versus first place ACC in the first round of the NCAA playoff. Like they would have to, I think, because if you're at 12 now, so you're talking about 12, 13, you're talking about a potential 16 game season for somebody unless the team with a bye wins it. So you're already at 16. Then if you drop back, if you go to 16 teams, that's still 16 games because everybody would play that third additional game. But then if you jump to 32, which I believe is what the FCS does, you're talking about, what is that, 4 weeks or 5 weeks? 32, 16, 8, 4. That's 5. That's 5 additional. You're talking about 18 games, including the conference championship.
That'd be crazy.
I don't see it.
That'd be crazy. Matt, Andy, y'all got anything to add to that, or as far as your thoughts on the playoff?
I think for me, honestly, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about the other night when we talk about participation trophies. I mean, I can get with the college football. I can get with the college football expansion. I think what's going to happen, and kind of going back with what Bryan was saying, when we start figuring out and trying to ask the question, how much is too much? I think what's going to end up happening is the more we continue to increase that, you're essentially, everybody's in the playoff bracket. Everybody's in there. Everybody's got a chance when they don't deserve it. They don't need it. I mean, I can get behind 12 because, I mean, you are looking at conference champions. You are looking at some of those. I think even still we're going to find out that some of those conference champions aren't even going to be able to stack up against the other ones. That's what you're going to see. But I can get behind that one. That's fine. Basketball has worked the way it's worked for years. And sometimes I'm a traditionalist. My thing is March Madness is March Madness. Leave it alone. You start bringing in these younger schools. Basketball is a game of momentum, and momentum can shift very quickly. And so, yes, you do get your Cinderella stories, but Cinderella stories only come once or twice, maybe 3 times a year. They're not going to come through 70-something teams. It's just not going to happen. And to me, what that is that's just getting more and more people because it's saying, "Oh, well, just come on, yeah, you made it, yeah, you made it, you're good. You're gonna go get your eyeballs beat out of you unless you're able to get like another no name school who you might could run something on." So the 12 I can understand with the expansion on football. We'll see how it goes. I do think that kind of like what Bryan's saying. I think after a couple of years, we're probably going to see them want to increase it to 16. I think there's still people who wish it was 16. They're talking about doing this whole rotation of bowl games and which bowls are played which year and how they're going to be, like, when are they going to be played and things like that. It's going to take a little bit to get used to, I think, but I mean, I can get behind that one.
Hey, you want to know, and Maddie, let me interject on that and ask this question. And this is the way I feel. It's not going to be like some outside force vying for that 16 team versus the 12. You know who it's going to be? It's going to be the 4 best teams in the country that are having to sit out while they watch 5, 6, 7, and 8 host a home game.
That's right.
And bring in millions upon millions of dollars of revenue while they're sitting at the house.
Yeah.
They're going to want that game. Yeah. They're going to want to host it. And of course the TV and everything that comes along with it, but it's going to be the teams that get the bye. They're going to be the ones that are like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They're going to lose
out.
We want to be in on this.
Yeah. That's gate fees, man.
No, 100%. 100%. Andy, what's your thoughts on all this playoff expansion stuff? You think it's good, or you think it's?
Well, I agree with y'all about the basketball. That's just being greedy. They just want that money. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'll keep up with it, but I don't really even watch it until we get down to like the Elite Eight anyway. So that's when I start tuning in. So what happens before that, I really don't care. But as far as football, give me the 12. Florida State would have been in, and we'd have spanked all y'all last year, baby.
Did you miss the Orange Bowl?
If we're going for that, give me 32. Maybe Auburn might sniff at least one game. maybe one. Maybe we'll at least see one that first round. I'm gonna watch it.
Brian, I'm not getting into you with this Orange Bowl thing, and you know why. But when the kids opt out not to play. Either way,
did you see the ACC
Don't
championship
start that
game?
jump. Just stop. Anyway,
did you see the ACC
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the playoff expansion.
Y'all beat NC State like 4-0.
We'll debate this closer to football season. But
last year, we can debate it right now.
No,
FSU
we're not going
was
to.
garbage.
We're not going to.
We're going to save the banter. Save the banter.
Give me the 12. Give me the 12. Give me the 12.
I like the 12. I'm not against the 12. I also think too that, the more, like kind of what Matt mentioned, the March Madness is what everybody lives for, but you start adding more teams, it's going to be April Madness by the time, it's all said and done. So
that's called regular season. That's what it's called.
Yeah. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But again, just want to say to everybody, thank you for tuning in and watching. This will wrap up this episode. Again, just to kind of recap some things, Scottie's doing what Scottie does. So we'll see how the next tournament he plays in, we'll see if he turns it around. Also, with us playing golf this week, going back to Crooked Oak, we will inform you in the next episode how we all did. We'll see if Andy did, in fact, beat me, and we'll see with that. We'll see if Bryan has fixed his swing, and we'll see if Matt can knock the rust off there. And then again, if you happen to be in Walmart or in Target and you're buying a bottle of toothpaste and you have to go to self-checkout, see if that bothers you. Or if you agree with what Bryan is bothered by, reach out to us. Let us know. And again, we've said this on every episode. If there is something that you are bothered by and we haven't mentioned it yet, let us know. We'll share it live here on the podcast. And then, next episode, we will have another edition of AJ is Heated. And that'll be a good one, man. If it was like anything like the last one, boy, y'all better be wearing some fireproof suits. It's going to be wild. And so
they scared.
if you agree,
That's good.
Yeah, if you agree or disagree with the playoff expansion talk, let us know. We want to hear more about you. We want to. What I'm saying is we want to hear some feedback. We want to we want y'all to hear. We want to hear from y'all. So again, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you're listening to Spotify or YouTube, like and subscribe. Follow us on those platforms. Follow us on Facebook so you can stay up to date with all of the news and all of the different episodes that are going on. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Gentlemen, have a great rest of your day, and we will catch y'all in the next episode.
See y'all.
Peace out.